The International Women's Day is a date of celebration and reflection on women's struggle for equal rights, freedom, and justice. Since ancient times, women have been warriors in pursuit of equality and freedom. I believe that literature is a fundamental tool for conveying women's stories and experiences and helping to create a more just and equal society. In this video, we will reflect on the historical importance of women in leadership positions and literature, and how this date invites us to continue fighting for a more just and equal world. In addition, we will address how we can support women in our lives and contribute to the fight for gender equality. Women are leaders, writers, artists, and innovators, and their historical presence and literary importance are fundamental and undeniable. Susan B. Anthony led the fight for women's suffrage in the United States. Sappho was a Greek poet who used her words to celebrate the beauty and love of women. Mary Wollstonecraft wrote a vindication of the rights of woman and advocated for equality between men and women. And Simone de Beauvoir questioned the idea that women were inferior to men in the second sex. These brave women have left a lasting and inspiring legacy in the fight for gender equality. However, there are still many barriers to be broken. Women face discrimination in the workplace, domestic violence, and sexual harassment. And, around the world, many women are still deprived of education and economic opportunities. Literature is a fundamental tool for conveying women's stories and experiences and helping to create a more just and equal society. Works like The Color Purple by Alice Walker and I Am Malala by Malala Yousafzai are powerful examples of the impact that literature can have on the fight for gender equality. Another important aspect of literature in the fight for gender equality is the ability to expand female representation in popular culture. For a long time, female characters were portrayed in stereotypical or supporting roles in literary works. However, in recent decades, female writers from around the world have challenged these standards by creating complex and multifaceted female characters. These female characters, often inspired by the author's personal experiences, allow women to see themselves represented in literature and identify with their stories. In addition, these works also help to sensitize the general public to gender issues and the need for equal opportunities for all people, regardless of gender. We can all make a difference in the fight for equality. We can support the women in our lives, listen to their stories, and amplify their voices. We can educate ourselves and others about gender issues and take concrete steps to address inequality. As we celebrate International Women's Day, we need to remember all the women who fought before us and continue to fight today. We need to put ourselves in their shoes and feel the emotion of their struggle. And above all, we need to commit to continuing to fight for a more just and equal world for all women, now and in the future. On International Women's Day, let us come together in support of women's fight for equality. Let us honor the women who came before us and those who are leading the fight today. Let us listen to their stories and amplify their voices. And above all, let us commit to working together to create a more just and equal world for all women. We must recognize that there is still much work to be done to achieve gender equality worldwide. From eliminating gender-based violence to equal pay and equal representation in leadership positions. It's time to act and make a difference, not just on International Women's Day but every day in our lives and in our communities. Together, we can create a world where women are valued and treated with equality, respect, and dignity. Furthermore, it is essential that companies and organizations worldwide commit to sustainability practices and prioritize the well-being of the planet and its inhabitants. This means taking proactive steps to reduce carbon emissions, conserve natural resources, and promote social responsibility. In addition to environmental concerns, there is also a growing need for companies to address issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion. As society becomes more diverse and globalized, it is important for companies to create inclusive environments that celebrate differences and foster a sense of belonging for all employees. To achieve these goals, companies must be willing to invest time, resources, and capital in sustainable and inclusive practices. This may involve changing business models, adopting new technologies, and prioritizing long-term sustainability over short-term profits. Ultimately, the success of sustainable and inclusive business practices will depend on the collective efforts of companies, governments, and individuals around the world. By working together to prioritize the health of the planet and its inhabitants, we can create a brighter, more equitable future for generations to come.